It's absolutely true. I have a fondness for interesting and unique designs and for leather, or at least faux leather here on the KODAK Ektra. Now your eyes don't deceive you, this has distinct retro styling along with a DSLR-like mini hump on the right hand side to aid grip and a large physical camera shutter button here. Heck, this also comes with a free leather ultra retro camera pouch with flap. Anyone else here old enough to remember when this was how we carried our cameras around in the 1960s and 1970s? I can, well, just. But what exactly is the KODAK Ektra? Well, it's a distinctly mid-range Android smartphone with an upper mid-range camera sensor inside. The form factor and appearance leads the user to think this should produce class-leading imaging, as once the Lumia 1020 did here, with similar camera island. Sadly, results are inferior to every other current smartphone flagship's camera, and the latter are doing this without the extra and seemingly unnecessary ½ centimetre of depth. See the samples here at 21 megapixel and 4x3 mode and 16 megapixel and 16:9, and with phase detection autofocus and an f/over 2.0 aperture, the snaps are pretty good as long as there's enough light. But Kodak's image processing expertise is woefully lacking, and it all goes to pot and low light. When shooting video with the Ektra, there's precisely zero stabilization. Is it possible that this is all smoke and mirrors and that there's no OIS here at all? Would Kodak be allowed to print 6-axis OIS on the phone's back if there was no such thing inside? Maybe this is simply a matter of needing a whopping software update. I'd also point out that there's up to ½ second of shutter lag, i.e. the delay between tapping the icon or pressing the shutter button here and actually taking the shot. So you have to keep the unit really still just for a split second after taking it, otherwise you get blurry subjects. Early days for the Ektra anyway. In the box there's a leaflet with the quote from Kodak's founder: "Light makes photography. Embrace light, admire it, love it, know it for all you're worth, and you will know the key to photography," which is great advice. I stand by it. But it's somewhat ironically enforced on the Ektra, given that it's rubbish away from good light. Oh well. The Kodak camera application is decent with seemingly masses of built-in modes, all accessible using an intuitive analog-esque thumb wheel. Now, other reviewers have complained it's too small and fiddly on the screen, but they miss that you just tap it and it springs up at twice the size in the centre, making it much easier to pick the mode required. Other relevant settings appear to be tapped at the top and bottom of the display. On the front is a 13 megapixel selfie camera, though very few of the main camera modes apply here. Of note is that there's stereo audio when capturing video on the Ektra, something you don't always get with top-end phones. Inside there's a MediaTek Helio X20 chipset with 3 GB of RAM. Hardly cutting edge these days, but it keeps everything rocking along nicely with a 5-inch 1080p LCD display. Keeping things at the higher mid-range are 32 GB of built-in storage plus microSD, a 3000 mAh seal battery, and USB Type-C for data and charging. Hooray! A 2-amp charger is supplied in the box, though it does support up to 3-amp, I believe. The chassis is interesting, appearing to be chamfered aluminium, but in reality it's all cleverly finished plastic, which keeps the Ektra light in the hand, but is a bit of a swizz, especially at the price here, over £400 in the UK. There's a lanyard mounting point in the end hump, a nice touch, though the faux leather is unfortunately broken into two around the charging port. I'm guessing that the smaller section peels off to reveal disassembly screws. The top and bottom bezels on the main front are quite large. You can see that a larger screen could definitely have been included by looking at, for example, the 5-inch screened Ektra side by side with my Lumia 950 XL, and that's got a 5.7-inch display. Compounding the large bottom bezel are control icons that are just too small and hard to see, with plenty of wasted black plastic above them. Most of the camera island is just cosmetics, just styling, included just for effect. If you're into retro, then this may appeal to you, but it does seem over the top to me. Up at the top is the welcome sight of a 3.5mm headphone jack. You didn't think Kodak was going to go into the future with Apple, did you? Confirming the Ektra's claim to the upper end of the mid-range are the inclusion of NFC, for example for Android Pay, and support for 5 GHz Wi-Fi and all relevant European LTE bands, though the unfortunate omission of biometrics, for example a fingerprint scanner, nothing here, looks very odd for a £400 phone in 2017. In terms of Android, it's 6.0, i.e. Marshmallow, and completely stock aside from the switch to Kodak's camera app and an additional Kodak gallery, which are fair enough. This is all pretty well thought out. It even includes Google's wonderful Snapseed editing suite included out of the box. There are some bloatware additions, including AVG antivirus and Office suite, which keep bugging me here in the notifications pane. Thankfully, these can be uninstalled in seconds, leaving a much cleaner app drawer. Even with the free premium leather pouch case, it's tough to recommend the Kodak Ektra at over £400 in 2017, unless, like me with the Marshall London, there's a love for the brand itself. Maybe that's you and Kodak, or maybe the world really has moved on and premium imaging on the move is now associated with such brands as Lumia, Apple, Samsung and Google. This is the Kodak Ektra.
Hi Steve, and congratulations on the 300 episodes of The Phone Show. It's absolutely required viewing for any tech addict out there. The future? Well, I'd love to see the return of the 3.5mm headphone jack. Just kidding, time to move on. These old phones, new innards inside them, running Android, diverse, interesting designs. That's what I'd love to see, resurrecting the dead. Thanks very much for all your hard work, and I look forward to many more years of your show.
Hello, Mr. Litchfield. Big fan of the show. My name is also Steve. I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, in the United States. I currently use a Moto X Pure Edition as my daily driver. There you are on there. And it's gotten much better battery life since Marshmallow's been installed. And that's my hope for the future, is continued battery life optimization through software, not necessarily just adding milliamps. So thanks and Godspeed.
Hey Steve, my name is Al from Florida, and my current daily driver is the BlackBerry Priv. For the future of phones, I'm hoping we see more physical keyboards, removable batteries, and removable storage, because honestly, I'm very bored of the touchscreen slab form factor. I hope you have a wonderful one, and waiting for the 300th episode. I've been a viewer since the beginning.
Arjun Menon here from Shanghai, China. Many congratulations on achieving 300 shows. Keep going strong. The smartphone that I use at the moment, I use the iPhone 7 Plus and I use the OnePlus 3. I like Android and Apple. Regarding the future of smartphones, I would like to see improved battery life, and I'm really excited about Samsung's upcoming foldable screen displays. I believe that would be the perfect balance between a smartphone and a tablet. So look forward to that.
Hey Steve, my name's Richard. Congratulations on 300 episodes. I've been a fan and watching since around the Nokia N96 days. My current weapon of choice is the Nexus 6P, purely for the front-facing speakers. What I'd like to see in the future is more on the cell companies and more emphasis on making sure that the country's got at least 3G coverage. Cheers for your programmes, and here's to another 300 episodes.
Hi, my name's Andy Wall. I'm currently using an iPhone 6 because my Lumia 950 XL had some water damage. But what I'd really like to see in the next smartphone is a unified inbox, somewhere where I can get all of my notifications from email, SMS, messaging, tasks, reminders, all in one place, sorted by people, so I can look for people and see what they're doing.